Welcome to the RJ Vangueety Show on Radio India, worldwide digital stream, radio for a better world.
Today we are talking to Lieutenant Colonel Prasad.
Yeah,
Uh, um, Welcome to the show.
yeah,
And
thank you.
and I would like to talk to you about the Sainik school system and how the students are benefiting from all the military Sainik schools in India, and
Yeah,
what kind of achievements it's having. And so, but before that, I would like to know a little bit more about your life. How, where were you born, and how you started off, and where you went to school, and small
yeah,
things
yeah.
like that.
I think, yeah, yeah. Right. I was born in a place called Guntur, which is going to be in news in recent times because the new capital of Andhra Pradesh is going to be setting up there, very close to Guntur, the place Amravati. I
Mhm.
was born in Guntur.
Mhm.
Then I had my schooling in most of the government schools in and around Andhra Pradesh, as my father was in government service. So I basically went to government schools. Right from the childhood, I had a passion for um, uh, natural life, that is, the fishes, plants, trees, and a little bit of adventure. So slowly, I thought that when I grow up, I wanted to join two departments, two professions. Either I want to join a forest department or become a forester and have explore the forests, or to join the army. These are two. Somehow, subconsciously, I always thought these two are the possible professions I should pursue. I never tried at anything else. Never aspired to become anything other than these two. And I have no siblings. I'm the only son to my parents. So they never directly objected to my choice, but they always wanted me to pursue a more quieter profession such as an engineer or a doctor when it may become. But as being an outdoor person, I was not fully focused on studies. Whenever I get opportunity, I used to explore into the fields around me, around our house, catch fish in the lakes, and somehow pets are a very great passion for me.
Mhm.
I've been keeping the pets from the age of 12 years till now. The dogs are a very great passion. We are very fond of dogs. Luckily, my family, my wife, and my children are also very fond of dogs. So we are keeping a pets for the last so many years. The pets have become a very integral part of our family.
Mhm.
Then I missed the opportunities of joining the Indian Army at early age. That is generally after plus two, after 17 years, you go to National Defense Academy.
Mhm.
My parents did not agree. Then after my graduation, I wanted to apply. Then there is also a kind of a no from the parents. So I have done my masters in English literature. Uh, that is the time one day accidentally I met one of the uh, officers of the army who was there near in the university campus. He inquired about me, and then he guided me to join a Army Education Corps. I never knew that there's an Army Education Corps existing in Indian Army.
Mhm.
So I said, "What's that?" Then they told me that the intake is only postgraduates, and you can join that. Even now, it's not late. So how I came to that know that officers, because I have simultaneously I had a lot of interest in National Cadet Corps, one of the biggest
NCC.
youth organizations in the country.
Mhm. Mhm.
National Defense Corps is there in the primary schools and high schools also.
Mhm.
I had deep roots in NCC. I joined in seventh standard and continued into my graduation also,
Mhm.
and I'm very proud to say that I have participated in the prestigious Republic Day parade in 1979, and
Mhm.
it's a uh, very wonderful experience to parade on the Rajpath, on the very famous Rajpath in New Delhi.
Mhm. Mhm.
and that is in 1979. Then these things have inclined me towards a profession in armies. Luckily, to one of my officers, they guided me. So I joined Indian Army in 1983 in the education corps, little realizing that what's going to be my role. I thought soldiering is the only thing which people do in army. But in army, a lot of studies takes place. In fact, one of the strange things is I joined army to escape from studies. But I landed up in more and more studies after I joined army. Anyway, no regrets, and there's always joy to learn new things. Then, as I moved on, I had a different, wonderful experience traveling length and breadth of the country, the mountains, the deserts, and the different meeting people, different people. But I did not do much of a teaching part. I'm not directly involved in teaching, but managing the educational programs of the soldiers. That was basically my job. And then, as fate would have it, and in 1990, I lost my father in a very freak malarial fever, and there was a requirement from the family for me to be positioned very close to my hometown, that is Visakhapatnam, called as Vizag also. So there was only one option, that is for me to opt for one of the government military schools, which are Sainik schools, which are generally there, one school in every state. Now some of the states have opted for the second school also because of the demand. So in Andhra, there is a place 60 kilometers from my hometown is a place called Korukonda, where I thought I will get a posting, so opted for that. The strange thing is, not many people even today choose teaching as a profession in India, especially. Most of the teachers are accidental teachers. Some of them wanted to become something, and they end up teaching in schools and colleges. That's why there's a huge challenge. There's a huge deficit of qualified and talented teachers all over the world. In fact, many places, like in India especially, now the scenario is changing with the technology coming in, and the demands are increasing, the spectrum of opportunities is increasing day by day. Now people are, some of them, very few of them are opting to become teachers, considering teaching as a profession. Well, I never thought that I will become a heading institution or a headmaster or a principal of a school in my wildest dreams. So as fate took me, so I have been picked up to be a headmaster of a Sainik school. A word of the Sainik school. Sainik schools are funded by respective state governments. The land and the infrastructure is provided by the state government. India has got there were 25 states are there. So then the nuclear staff, that like the defense staff, are provided by the central government, that is Ministry of Defense. So the principal, the headmaster, the registrar, these are three people. Registrar is admin head. The headmaster is the vice principal, or the number two in the hierarchy, and the principal is a head of the institution. They are drawn from the three services: Army, Navy, and Air Force. So they are on a tenure for about 3 to 5 years. So after that assignment, they will go back to the parent organization. They go back to Army. So they are given as a loan to the state government for a period of 3 to 5 years. So I was fortunate to get one of the first batch of Sainik schools. In 1962, Government of India has commenced 5 schools in India. One of them is Sainik School Kunjpura, at very close to Karnal, about 5-6 kilometers from Karnal. Karnal is about 100 kilometers from Delhi. In those days, Punjab and Haryana were the one state, but later on Haryana became separate. So Karnal in Haryana, incidentally, subscribes to largest number of officers to Indian Army. In fact, Haryana sends the maximum number of officers to Indian Army. They contribute. Most of the people from Haryana opt for services, attend profession as soldiers. So there is a huge demand for the admissions into Sainik school. So the children are very energetic, very focused to join defense forces, very talented. Physically, they are very, very robust and tough. So, and it's amazing to see people essentially from rural areas without most of them do not have any basic knowledge of English. But within 6 years, they join in the school at the age of 11 years, that is in the 6th grade. And within 6 years, they acquire the required skills to compete with the best of the students in the country. And they join the prestigious National Defense Academy, one of the world's top military establishments in the country, in the world. NDA, and within next 3-4 years' time, they'll be young officers of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, flying the state-of-the-art Jaguars and Mirages and handling the equipment worth of billions of dollars. So it is amazing to see people from a extremely rural background, not having any kind of scientific knowledge or knowledge of English. Within about, say, 6 plus another 4 years, 10 years' time, they are one of the young, very dynamic young men and women they become. So that's very amazing to see.
Yeah, that's not surprising to me, because look at yourself. You come from a small town. Guntur is not a big town.
Yeah,
it's not a big city, and you look at, so that doesn't surprise me that there's so much knowledge. There's so many brilliant people in the rural areas, and so that doesn't surprise me. So sorry, I mean, I just wanted to make that one key. So
absolutely, but compared to Andhra Pradesh, I what I would like to make a submission is, Haryana people are basically agriculture-based people. Most of their parents also, most of them are busy with their agriculture, and most of them have not got a formal education. So, but somehow they always wanted to join even Punjab for that matter. Punjab and Haryana, they are traditionally the martial clan, and they always subscribe a lot of people to armed forces. So even today, Punjab and Haryana stands first among the contribution to the defense forces. Yeah, then that's why my innings in education started with at Karnal. It was 3.5 years tenure there, and it was an eye-opener for me. What all goes into schooling? I thought that when I joined that a residential school is just a matter of schooling us, and then will be a little bit of pastoral care to the children. It's not like that. It's like what's becoming virtual parents to the about 600 odd children there in the campus, and 24/7 on every day there are challenges. There'll be emotional challenges, there'll be academic challenges, there'll be physical challenges, there'll be challenges of weather, infrastructure. Every day is a wonderful learning experience. In fact,
now, I do have a question. I have a question.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned about these children joining the army school or the Sainik school, do they need to come from a Sainik background? Do they have to have parents who are in the army, or anybody can join?
Yeah, good question. See, Sainik schools are meant to, actually, the aim of the Sainik school is to provide public school education at an affordable cost to the Indian public. That was the basic aim of Sainik school. Your parents need not be defense personnel at all, but there is a entrance test, eligibility test. There is an all India level entrance test, and seats are limited to that particular domicile of that particular state. So if I am from a Tamil Nadu state, I cannot get a preference over the native of that state of Haryana or a Punjab. So maximum seats are reserved for the children of that hailing from the particular state. So there is a merit list prepared, and the children join accordingly. The child can be a son of a farmer. Basically, it's all boys nowadays. Only the girls are not into the Sainik school as of now. It's only basically boys' school. Only the staff children, if they are girls, they are permitted to attend the classes. But basically, it's a boys' schools. So there's an acute competition. People undergo a lot of coaching to compete in this entrance test, and they get into the merit list, and there will be a medical examination. They'll be taken in.
Now you said basically most of them are boys. Now is there a rule, or is just the girls are not interested?
See, the Indian Army, now very recently, Army has opened its opportunities to women officers and officer cadre. But that too, certain combat arms like infantry and artillery, these are the main fighting arms, they have not opened even now for the women officers.
Mm.
But because of the nature of the training, the nature, the kind of things that they undergo, it actually is open for the boys only, even now.
Mm.
And there's not all of the military schools. Military schools, another set of schools. There are 5 schools which are otherwise known as a King George School. Erstwhile King George schools are now called as the Rashtriya Indian Military Schools.
Mm-hmm.
Here I would like to mention about the many times in India, people are not able to distinguish between an army school to Sainik school to a military school.
Okay.
Essentially, there are 3 categories of schools. In a cantonment, there are schools set up for the education of the serving troops there, serving of personnel. They are called army schools.
Okay. Okay.
There may be Navy school, there may be Air Force school, depending on the organization. There may be Army school.
Mm.
Then Sainik schools are exclusively one per state, funded by the particular state government.
Mm-hmm.
The salaries of the teaching staff are provided by the state government,
Mm-hmm.
and the nuclear staff is provided by the central government. And they have been given adequate large chunk of land to sustain themselves, generate a produce, and then use it as a kind of a supplement to for the expenditure, to meet the expenditure.
Mm.
So like that, most of the Sainik schools are located in palaces. For example, in Punjab, Kapurthala is the venue, the place where the Sainik school is there.
Mm-hmm.
Maharaja Kapurthala's palace has been given as a school for the Sainik school of Kapurthala.
Mm-hmm.
And then Korkonda is there, Maharaja Vijayanagaram, he has given his palace for the school. And with a large, about 100 acres of land, they had given as a school property.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
they grow some crops and some orchards, and some revenue is generated that is plowed back into the reserve fund of the school to meet the infrastructural requirements.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's about the Sainik schools. And military schools are exclusive. There are only 5 in the country, 2 in Karnataka, 2 in Rajasthan, 1 in Shimla Hills.
Mm.
These are the old King George schools meant for the education of the serving Indian soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And then now they are redesignated as the Rashtriya Indian Military Schools. They are one in Ajmer, Dholpur, and Belgaum, Bangalore, and Chail. These are the 5 places.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to rewind a little bit. You said you were in the parade in the 1979 Gantantra Divas parade. So, and you were in the NCC then. Am I right?
Yeah.
You were in the, so
Yes.
you were in the NCC, and then you did the parade then. So from there, so basically that how old were you then?
Yeah, that's again an interesting thing. I joined NCC at the age of 11 years, but
Okay.
there was as I was shifting from the school to every 2 years due to my father's transfers.
Mm-hmm.
He's a government servant, so at places there was no NCC.
Mm-hmm.
So when I joined my graduation, when I was doing my graduation, in the second year of my graduation, I again joined NCC.
Mm-hmm.
In generally, I have opted for sciences because I was very fond of nature and all these life sciences. So generally, science students are not into physical activities like games and sports, and NCC is almost not at all the cup of tea of a science stream students.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Plus there's a lot of workload. There's a lot of practical work we had to do in the Bachelor of Science. The botany was my main subject. So my head of the department did not allow me to go for NCC camps because to go to Republic Day Parade you have to attend a series of camps, about 3 to 4 camps you have to attend, and you lose a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
That is in the months of right from September, October, November, December. It happens in January. You are there in Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
And you come back somewhere in the first week of February back to your school.
Mm-hmm.
So almost 4 to 5 months loss of schooling. So my head of the department from the Avian College in Vizag, he said, I will not let you go. If you go, you are going to repeat your at least your 1 more year.
Mm-hmm.
I took it a challenge. I went in the graduation final year. In fact, after writing my final year exams, I went. When I was in the camp, I have got a news that I got admission in the post-graduation.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the thing. Very not many people take to NCC when they are in the graduation final years.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the passion. I had to go. So thanks to my.
I asked you this because I was a cub when I was in fifth or sixth grade.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a cub myself. So I know a little bit about that now. Once you went to the post graduation, once you started your post graduation, and you still had this dream or to serve the country. You were thinking that I want to do this, and
absolutely. In fact, when I was doing my post-graduation, in fact, I have got my admission to post-graduation due to my NCC C certificate. There's a certificate, one of the what you call the top exams in the NCC that is called. You got the A, B, and C. I have finished the C. So there is, in fact, a quota system in the university admissions to give 5% of the seats to the certificate holders of C certificate. So I was also considered in that category, and I have got seat in the post-graduation. And while doing the graduation, rather after finishing the graduation, I was then I have taken to kind of athletics also, interest in long distance running also. When I was practicing, there was some parade going on the next door, and the commanding officer of the NCC asked me, "What are you doing nowadays?" They asked, "I'm doing my post graduation in literature." Then he said, "Oh, you can join the Army Education Corps." Then I asked, "What's that?" Then he said, "Okay, come to my office tomorrow morning." So next day I went there and filled up my particulars on a white piece of paper and sent to the Army headquarters there. That's how this journey began. Yeah.
So basically, now, when you say that journey began, and I would like to ask a couple smaller questions during that time. So, and you said your father was a government officer, and and at that time you already said that your parents were not happy that you were joining the military. How did they react once they realized that no, you are doing it? What was the reaction?
Actually, see, in fact, while I applied for the SSB, the Army selection through Services Selection Board. I applied for selection board and waiting for the interview. Waiting for the result. Meanwhile, I have also given some examinations in the Public Service Commission examination, we call it. I have applied for a post called Fisheries Inspector in the Fisheries Department. And luckily, I got selected for that post, and the interview call-up came. So, in fact, the call-up letters are just 3 days apart from the date of joining to Indian Military Academy at Dehradun and my interview at Hyderabad. I told my father, there's no two ways of thinking about it. There's only one way. I'm going to Dehradun. I'm going to join Indian Military Academy. He said, why don't you at least attend the interview, and after that I can send you by flight to Delhi. At least for the sake of attend the interview. Hoping that I may change my mind at any point. I said nothing doing, no question of looking at anything else. I am not at all looking at that offer of interview for the fisheries inspector. I am going to go to Dehradun. So I went. And here I would like to tell you something a little personal to me, very personal. I sat in the train. My mom generally doesn't keep good health, and for the last 25 years, she's a chronic patient of epilepsy and various issues, bad blood pressure. When I sat in the train, suddenly thought came to my mind, oh my God, I'm going to leave my mom and father for a long time because the training is for 1 year. 1 year I'm going to be away, and I'm going so far away. Suddenly that thought came, am I doing the right thing? That thought came to my mind. It was too late. I mean, that thought never crossed my mind that all these years that I want to join forces, defense, and doing all sorts of adventure, I was thinking on one-sided. But that day when I sat in the train, when I about to say bye-bye to them, that thought came to my mind, oh my God, is it the right thing? Who will look after them at these? They're getting day by day old, and I don't know what to say. But the train moved on, and there's very emotional a kind of a thing I've gone through. But later on, they supported me, and they're also very proud that they had joined Army. And in heart and heart, they wanted me to join a state government job or something and be closer to them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, because I mean, my story is not as close to yours. Yours involves risk. Yours
Yeah,
involves, you're putting your life on the line. But my,
yeah,
when I was first coming to US, the first time when I
yeah,
was sitting at the airport, and I can see my mom crying outside. She was
yeah,
crying.
yeah,
She was crying really bad, and I was sitting there, and I thought, did I make the right decision? I'm going
yeah, yeah, yeah. This
all
for
the way.
the go.
Yeah.
That's a very very trying moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was this older gentleman sitting next to me, and I started crying, and he noticed in Hyderabad at the airport. Yeah, so that's your
Yeah,
that's your
it's a
Marco right
Rockwell.
there.
Yeah. It's a Marco. It's
That's
a
your
Rockwell.
Marco.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my that older gentleman told me that what's going on, and I told him that I'm going to US for studies in music, and I probably won't see my parents for at least 18 months from
Yeah.
now. And he said, well, so what do you think? And I said, and I told him, I don't know, is it the right thing I'm doing at this
Yeah.
point? At this point, I'm I'm 20 years old. And he said that this you can do two things right now. You can actually run off, go back to your
Mm.
parents, and and regret
Mm.
what could have been, or you can give it a try, and if it doesn't work in 18 months to 2 years, you can still go back
Mm.
to your parents, but give yourself a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that stuck with me, then. So uh,
Welcome to the RJ Vangueety Show on Radio India, worldwide digital stream, radio for a better world.
किस्मत में बांटे हैं राहों में कांटे और मैं भी हूँ से दिया हूँ किस्मत के आड़े मैं रोके रुकूं तू की राह में उठूं पिंजरे तोड़ कर फैलाऊंगा मैं पर तुझ में जितना है जोर तू लगा ले मगर हंस के कट जाएगा ना झुकेगा ये सर जान लेके किस्मत में बांटे हैं राहों में कांटे हैं रेगिस्तानों में आग है जितनी है लहू खोलता मेरा इन रगों में फिर भी खाकसारों को खाक ही काफी रस मुझको है खामोशी मेरी बेजुबान कब से मैं रहा बेगुनाह सहता मैं रहा बेजुबान कब से मैं रहा बेगुनाह सहता मैं रहा जान लेके किस्मत में बांटे हैं राहों में कांटे हैं किस्मत में बांटे हैं राहों में कांटे हैं सौ सवाल है सौ हैरानतें मेरे तो नाम पे लगी है काली घेर आँख सपनों की राख हाथों में सुनी आँखों में जलती उम्मीद है आखिरी ना मिला मौका ना मिली माफी कह दो कितनी
Welcome to the RJ Vangueety Show on Radio India, worldwide digital stream, radio for a better world.
How can I make you
just fine.